showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So guys, we now know more information on the OCG imports from Judgment of the Light. It looks like we're going to be getting Wolfberk and Coach Captain Bearman. If you're like me, you've been waiting for Wolfberk for a very long time, since somebody absolutely thrashed me with that card, you know, way back when. Anyways, let me just go over the card real quickly for those of you guys who may not know what the cards do, and then I'll give you guys some initial thoughts on the two cards. First up, Coach Captain Bearman. It's a Fire Beast Warrior level 8, 2600 attack, 2700 defense. The effect says you can normal summon this card without tributing, but its original attack becomes 1300. Once per turn, you can make all level 4 Beast Warrior type monsters you currently control become level 8 until the end phase. This card cannot be used as an Xyz Material for an Xyz Summon except for the Xyz Summon of a Fire Warrior type monster. Now personally, I don't believe that Bearman is a very good card right now. Don't get me wrong, having to cut its attack in half isn't really that big of a deal, considering you can use his effect and you can change the levels of other Fire Fist or Wolfberk monsters on the field. So presumably you're going to be using Bearman as an Xyz Material, you know, in the same turn that you activate his effect. You don't have to worry about him getting run over because he's now a weakling. The problem is you have to use him for an Xyz that is a Fire Warrior monster. And according to what I can find, we have exactly one of those in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That being Coach King Giant Trainer. And it's an okay card. I mean, sure, it lets you draw a bunch of cards at the cost of your battle phase, and that's great and everything, but it requires 3 monsters to summon. And like, that makes all the difference, because 3 monsters is now a considerable risk. You know, if it falls into a bottomless or to a torrential, you know, putting 3 monsters into a card that doesn't offer any inherent protection and takes away your battle phase, you know, is a really big risk in my opinion. And I'm not really sure that drawing a bunch of cards even balances out that risk, because when you summon this guy and you activate his effect, I mean, you're not going to be ending the game soon like you would with a card like Quasar, which can, you know, just attack twice and end the game, or it doesn't give you any protection either. So a simple bottomless or whatever just kills it. Quite frankly, I think that they tried maybe a little too hard to keep this card in check. I thought that, you know, it should have been able to just make any generic, you know, Xyz monster, then you'd be able to use it for something like Galaxy Eyes, Tachyon Dragon, or Hermetic Dragon, King of Tomb. And I mean, the rank 8 pool is kind of shitty to begin with, so I don't really think that it would have been like OP or anything like that. Right now the card is just like like probably below average or so. The second card we're going to talk about is Wolfberk. They changed the name to Coach Soldier Wolfbark. They should have named it Wolfbroke, because that's what it's going to end up being. Now I'm just fucking with you guys. Alright, so it's a Fire Beast Warrior type monster, 1600 attack, 1200 defense. The effect is short and sweet. It says you can target 1 level 4 Fire Beast Warrior type monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face up defense position. Its effects are negated. You can only use the effect of Coach Soldier Wolfbark once per turn. So I'm just going to be blunt about this one. Wolfberk is absolutely amazing. I mean, basically the control version of Fire Fist just got their own Blizzard, except unlike cards like Wind Up Rad and Blizzard, his stats aren't complete ass. I mean, he starts out at 1600, moves to a very respectable 1700 as long as you have a Fire Formation card on the field. But did I mention the most important part? He can activate his effect multiple times. You know, there's none of this once wide face up garbage like Wind Up Rad or anything like that. I mean, he does something that before only Rescue Rabbit did for the deck. He gives them another 1 card Xyz. You know, so now you have Rabbit that can get you your King Tiger turn 1. You now have Wolfberk that can instantly be a King Tiger. You know, this guy adds a different dimension that the deck was kind of lacking. It gives the deck a reliable way to make use of the cards that are in the graveyard. I mean, before, outside of Dragon, which people seldomly use, the Monster Reborn, if your Bear or your gorilla was in the graveyard, it stayed in the graveyard until you either won the game or you lost. Now you can dig those cards out of your graveyard. You can use them for XC options, and if your opponent doesn't kill them, especially in the late game, you can basically just sit on that Wolfberk in every single turn, just stack resources and stack resources and stack resources. Okay, maybe your bear can't blow stuff up, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he can still attack stuff. You can still use him as Xyz materials. I mean, you're still getting use out of these cards. And I also think that one thing that might be overlooked is Wolfberk makes shock locks extremely possible in this deck. I mean, I know that Fire Fist could do shock lock before with like Tencent and stuff, but it took a lot of resources. Now you can basically drop shock lock extremely easy, and it's gonna be a really low risk play. I mean, if your opponent doesn't kill your Wolfberk after a couple of turns, your Wolfberk basically becomes a one-card shock lock because he keeps digging stuff out of the graveyard. So, I mean, this is one of those cards that could end up like changing the tier of a deck. You know, Fire Fist is probably like tier 2.5 now. I mean, they might jump up all the way to like 1.5 or, you know, possibly tier 1 because of this. So let me know what you guys think. I think this card is fantastic. Bearman is whatever. But thank you guys for watching as always, and take care. Subscribing makes life happy.